Hello, and welcome to our 15th D&D 3.5 Prestige Class Review. Today we're going to be looking at the Drunken Master Prestige Class from the Complete Warrior Sourcebook. I'll be rating the Prestige Class on its concept and execution, as well as going through its prerequisites and each of its class features. We'll also go through some different character builds that could incorporate this Prestige Class, as well as some suggestions for how to improve it. The Drunken Master is a Prestige Class for monks that utilizes the obscure technique known as drunken boxing. Drunken Masters are able to imbibe great quantities of alcohol and have it improve their fighting prowess, or at the very least, their strength and endurance. The Drunken Master is an interesting prestige class, and some I consider to be a bit silly. However, it's hard to deny that it's effective, especially compared to the default monk. You will need at least a couple levels of monk to take this prestige class, as it requires the Flurry of Blows and Evasion class features. You also will need the Dodge, Great Fortitude, and Improved Unarmed Strike feats. One of these you'll get for free, but you are going to have to take the other two, and unless you're playing a human, this is going to eat up both of your feats. The prestige class also requires 8 ranks in Tumble, but you're probably going to take Tumble anyway. And it does require you to survive a night of revelry among other drunken masters without being poisoned, incarcerated, or particularly embarrassed. This is a flavor prerequisite, but one that could make for quite a fun role-playing experience. So I would say the prerequisites for this prestige class are restrictive. You are going to have to give up both of your feats unless you're playing a human, and while you do get bonus feats from being a monk, it is going to cut back on your flexibility beforehand. However, the class features of the Drunken Master are quite interesting and can be quite powerful. The Drunken Master has a D8 hit die, which is the same as the monk. It also gets 4+ intelligence modifier skill points per level, which again is the same as the monk. It does not get the monk's goodwill save, it only gets good fortitude and reflex. However, this is somewhat fitting for the class, as it is not one that's particularly associated with being mentally disciplined. You also get the same base attack bonus as a monk, which again is to be expected. If it did give full base attack bonus, it would likely be a must-take choice for monk characters. At level 1, you gain the Drink Like a Demon class feature. This allows you to drink some sort of alcoholic beverage as a move action. Each time you do this, you increase either your strength or constitution by 2 points, and both your wisdom and intelligence are decreased by 2 points. This is going to last for a number of rounds equal to your class level, plus 3, and it's also going to be limited to a number of drinks equal to your class level. Now, you're not going to want to be giving up your move actions in combat, particularly as it will prevent you from full attacking, so you're going to want to take these drinks before combat. However, seeing as they only last rounds per level, you're going to want to drink a couple of them per round. You can do 2 per round, each as a move action. And then you're going to have roughly half your class level plus 3 in rounds to fight at your maximum potential. Do note that by level 10, you're going to be wanting to drink 10 alcoholic beverages before each fight. This is going to require you to probably be carrying around something like 40 tankards of ale. Now, this is certainly possible for a character with the sort of strength a high-level monk should have, but it is going to look a little bit ridiculous. And while tankards of ale are going to be the cheapest way for you to sustain this ability, it is going to be up to the Dungeon Master whether or not those mugs are going to come with lids or caps that will allow you to carry them around in an adventuring situation without spilling them. Unfortunately, this class feature is going to be limited by your character's intelligence score the most, as it's almost certainly going to be lower than your character's wisdom score as a monk, and for most monk builds with the elite array, your intelligence score is probably going to be around 10, which is going to limit you to only being able to take 4 drinks at a time before becoming incapacitated. And even at that case, you will be running a character with animal intelligence. Also, the reduced wisdom score is going to reduce your armor class, as a monk character does depend on that. Fortunately, this prestige class does give you some improvements to your AC, but if you are going to use this feature, do get used to the idea of being hit a lot. This might be one of the few prestige classes for monk where you're going to want to invest in a headband of intellect or something of that sort to keep your intelligence score high enough that you can benefit the most from the Drink Like a Demon ability without going unconscious. Also at level 1, you gain the Improvised Weapons class feature. This allows you to use furniture, farm implements, or just about anything else to attack your foes. Your improvised weapons are going to deal as much damage as your unarmed strike, plus an additional 1d4 points of damage. If you roll a natural 1 with one of these attacks, it's going to break the item, but the damage boost that you gain from this is going to make up for losing your full attack 1 out of 20 rounds. This damage boost does improve later, so that's something to keep in mind. At level 2, you gain the Stagger class feature. This allows you to make a charge that doesn't necessarily have to be in a straight line. Also, you can make a DC 15 tumble check before beginning your charge, and if you succeed, your charge movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. This is a fairly underrated feature, as charging can be a very useful maneuver. Your armor class, while you are drinking like a demon, is already going to be greatly reduced, so gaining that extra bonus to attack at the expense of armor class might not be that bad of a thing. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to benefit from something like Pounce most likely, as the most common way for a character to get Pounce is a Lion Totem Barbarian, which is going to be incompatible with you alignment-wise as a monk. That said, it will still allow you to maneuver around the battlefield quickly, and if you do find a way to get Pounce, this class feature will become quite extraordinary. At level 3, you gain the Swaying Waist class feature. This effectively works like the dodge feat, but it gives you a +2 dodge bonus rather than a +1, and of course, it can stack with the dodge feat. At level 4, you're going to gain a +1 bonus to armor class. This is going to improve to +2 at 9th level. These two class features are going to help make up a little bit for the armor class you're going to lose when using the Drink with a Demon class feature, though they likely won't quite make up for the wisdom that you're going to lose. Also at 4th level, you gain improved improvised weapons. This allows you to use long improvised weapons as reach weapons, and weapons with many protrusions can be used to give you a +2 bonus on disarm attempts. It also lets you use large flat objects like tables as improvised tower shields. This can be useful in a pinch situationally. Reach is useful for keeping smaller creatures at bay, so overall this class feature, while not particularly spectacular, does give you a few extra tricks up your sleeve to use in combat with your improvised weapons. At 5th level, you gain Greater Improvised Weapons, which is going to improve the damage of your improvised weapons to 1d8 instead of 1d4. The damage boost is now starting to get pretty significant, and that is one of the main draws of this prestige class. At level 6, you'll gain the Improved Feint feat as a bonus feat. This feat's really only good for characters with sneak attack, so it's not going to be particularly useful to you. However, if you are fighting something with a very high armor class and most of it's coming from dexterity, it could be beneficial to use this feat to be able to actually hit it and do some damage. However, that is pretty rare and situational, and for the most part, this isn't going to be very useful to you. At level 7, you'll gain the Improved Grapple feat as a bonus feat. You already had the chance to take this at level 1, but odds are you took Stunning Fist, at the very least because it is more interesting. Improved Grapple does let you start grapples without provoking attacks of opportunity, and it gives you a +4 to your grapple bonus, but you're probably going to end up using this more to escape from grapples rather than start them. It's a mediocre feature, but it's better than nothing. At level 8, you gain the For Medicinal Purposes class feature. This is going to let you convert one of the alcoholic drinks you've already drunk into a potion of Cure Moderate Wounds as a standard action. Overall, this is going to give you 68 plus 18 points of healing per day, which is going to come out to around 45 hit points on average. This is going to be compared to the 26 points a day that the equivalent level 13 monk would get from Wholeness of Body. This will also change your ability scores back by 1 step, but you probably aren't going to want to be using this in combat if you can avoid it. This is going to be a significant improvement over the monk's own self-healing capabilities, so this prestige class is going to be strongly beneficial to you. At level 9, you're going to gain the Corkscrew Rush feature, which lets you make a bull rush attempt for free after you make a charge attack. If your bull rush succeeds, your opponent also is stunned, unless they make a will save of DC 10 plus your class level plus your wisdom modifier. The downside is, if the bull rush attempt fails, you end up prone in front of your opponent. You could potentially gain some value out of this with the prone attack feat, but overall this is a risk and reward maneuver, and while you're probably not going to have the best bull rush capabilities, particularly given how many larger monsters you're going to be running into at this level, if you do succeed, stunning your opponent, and particularly making them save against will, which is a little bit more difficult to save against than fortitude, is going to be a fairly strong feature. While you'll usually only be able to do this maybe 1 or 2 times per combat, the times that it does work can be quite devastating. At level 9, you're going to gain superior improvised weapons. This is going to improve your improvised weapon damage to its maximum of 1d12. This is going to be almost as much as your unarmed fighting damage will be by itself at this level. So while it won't be doubling your damage output, it will be increasing it by a significant chunk, particularly when spread over all of those flurry of blows attacks. At 10th level, you gain the Breath of Flame class feature. This is a spell-like ability class feature, though unlike most spell-like abilities, it doesn't seem to mimic a particular spell. It allows you to use up one of the alcoholic beverages you've consumed, to breathe fire in a 20-foot cone, dealing 3d12 points of fire damage to everyone within, and they can of course make a reflex save with DC 10 plus your class level, plus your constitution modifier for half damage. The best thing to be said about this class feature is that it is a free action to use, meaning that it's not going to interrupt any of your full attacks or movement. It isn't very much damage, but it's an average of 19 points to at least one creature, so it is going to probably be worth giving up the extra 1 point of damage spread over 5 or so flurry of blows attacks in order to use this. Fire is a damage type that a lot of creatures are resistant to or outright immune, and having the saving throw DC rely on your constitution modifier does make this ability a little bit weaker. That said, while it isn't a particularly impressive capstone, it is a fun and flavorful one, and it's a good way to round out this prestige class. Overall, I would give this prestige class 5 stars for concept and 5 stars for execution. This is a rather unusual concept for a prestige class, one again that might seem a bit like a joke to some people, but it's surprisingly effective. While this prestige class will make your armor class suffer, as well as some of your other monk abilities, it's going to come at a level where your armor class is mattering less and less, and damage output is going to matter more and more. Since the strength bonus provided by this prestige class is an untyped bonus, it will allow it to stack with other things such as belts, and it will allow you to boost your strength higher than any monk normally would be able to. Carrying around all the alcohol that you plan to drink can easily be accomplished with a bag of holding, and the cost of getting yourself drunk before combat is going to be pretty minimal. That's assuming, of course, that you go with the cheapest option, as you should. It would be interesting to see feats keyed to this prestige class that would allow you to benefit more or less or in different ways by drinking different alcoholic beverages before battle. However, that might be a little too in-depth for what this prestige class sets out to do. When it comes to improving this prestige class, I likely would have dropped the Improved Feint as a bonus feat and replaced it with something else. Perhaps just a monk bonus feat, or a list of the feats available in Complete Warriors, such as Prone Attack. The other, far more significant change I would make would be to remove, or at least halve, the penalty to intelligence from the Drink Like a Demon class feature. While it does make sense that your intelligence would be penalized the more that you drink, it does severely limit a character like this who has to invest in a headband of intellect in order to gain a few more levels of strength improvement. Monks are not particularly heavy hitters in combat as is, and this prestige class allows them to be so. While you could debate whether or not it's a good thing that potentially one of the strongest damage-dealing monk prestige classes in the game, which this most likely is not, is locked behind a somewhat silly concept, you could debate whether or not that's a good thing, but the fact remains that in order to take full advantage of this class feature, the monk is going to need to invest in their intelligence score, which seems a little bit odd. Perhaps making the penalty to wisdom stay at -2, but making the intelligence penalty only -1, or reducing it to 1 for both, could allow you to take more full advantage of the Drink Like a Demon class feature. Or perhaps it's fine as is. Either way, this prestige class is a really great option overall for monks. So long as you don't mind the thematic elements behind it, it's a really good choice. One of the best builds for this prestige class is going to be going straight monk into it. It doesn't have a base attack requirement. It does require specifically some monk features. You can get evasion from rogue, but it will be more difficult to qualify for this prestige class otherwise. Unfortunately, there is no way that I know of to multi-class with Barbarian, specifically Lion Totem Barbarian, to give yourself Pounce, or if there's another way to get your character the Pounce ability easily, but if you do, the Stagger feature does get a lot more utility. That said, there are still feats in 3.5 that allow you to change directions during a charge. So, in summary, while monks are not the strongest base class, The Drunken Master does allow you to have some more interesting features to play with, even though it does give up some of the contemplative theme of the default monk. While this might not be the best monk prestige class, it is certainly thematically unique and comes with strong abilities to back that up. So that's about it for this prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Leave a comment down below if there's a particular prestige class you'd like to see me review next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.